one more issue that we've been watching for you all throughout the day. A former member of parliament has actually petitioned the office of the Speaker of Parliament to address the issue of absenteeism in the House. Ras Mubarak believes that the Standing Order 16.1, which will adequately address the issues of absenteeism, ought to be looked at by the Speaker of Parliament to deal with some MPs who have missed 15 working days. It includes Sarah Ajasafo, who's Member of Parliament for Domeko Abenya. We also have the Ayaso Central, Henry Kwate MP, who's also MP for Ayaso Central. We have Hunter West as well, who's contained in that petition, and Asin Central, Kennedy Ejapon, who's part of the contained in the document that Ras Mubarak has sent to Parliament today, actually asking the Speaker to crack their whip. Fortunately, the Member of Parliament, the former Member of Parliament, is joining us via Zoom now. Such a pleasure to be having you at this point. So first of all, let's understand your demands. Is it the case that you want the Speaker to address this issue collectively, or perhaps you're just fixated on these four members of Parliament that you're asking the Speaker to crack the whip on?
Well, it's a constitutional requirement, isn't it? The Constitution says that when a Member of Parliament absents himself or herself for more than 15 sitting days of a meeting of Parliament, you know, they ought to be brought to the Privileges Committee of Parliament, and the Privileges Committee of Parliament will deliberate on the matter and pronounce judgment. You know, this matter has been out there for quite a while now. I don't see any movement within Parliament to have it resolved immediately. And as a citizen, you know, I'm quite worried that Parliament is not sending the right signals, especially at a time when there is a collapse of trust in politics and in Parliament as an institution. I'm sure you've seen the Afrobarometer report, which places Parliament as the third most corrupt institution in the country. Parliament has an opportunity to redeem its image by dealing with, you know, issues like this. This is not the first time something like this has come up. In the 7th Parliament, we had an MP who was absent for nearly 2 years and nothing happened. I mean, a clear violation of the tenets of the Constitution. In the Parliament before the 7th, the civil society organization Odikro had petitioned Parliament over a similar incident and nothing happened. Parliament cannot be seen to be the institution that balks, that runs away, that shirks its responsibility from, you know, addressing with matters of law and respecting the Constitution.
And that's where the concern is, that you are not a novice. You quite understand parliamentary workings, and this issue of absenteeism is not new to the House, really. Is it an Alban Bagbin problem, or perhaps this goes way beyond the Speaker and that Ghanaians would have to demand more from their MPs? What's the perfect solution to the demand that you're trying to draw the attention of the Speaker to?
Well, so it goes beyond, you know, Speaker Bagbin, obviously. It precedes him, you know, but he's the Speaker now, so he has the opportunity, he has a unique opportunity, you know, to restore the waned, the lost confidence, the lost trust in the institution of Parliament. You know, and that is why he has to make a pronouncement on it on the floor for the issue to be referred to the Privileges Committee. The Ghanaian public would not accept anything but Parliament dealing with things like this. Imagine for a moment if you were to absent yourself from work for 15 without a just cause explanation. You know, multimedia will probably fire you. I mean, in the street who works in your department or agency or in a private company. You know, so when the ordinary Ghanaian would get punished for something like this,
right,
a member of Parliament who makes law must not, you know, get away with something like this.
But some say that if you look at precedents, and we're talking about parliamentary record, there are some MPs who've gone way past the 15 days. And if you look at the names you've presented before Parliament, it appears that you're very much interested in the New Patriotic Party side of the House. Is your motive political in this case?
To be honest, if you know of any NDC member who's absented himself or herself for more than 15 days, do send me a name. I'll be happy to write back to the Speaker and call out that Member of Parliament. Every constituency in the country deserves to be represented by a Member of Parliament. And when an MP is unable to discharge, you know, his or her duties, it's fair to the public and to their constituents that they stepped aside for somebody else to take the job.
And
so
really,
it's not.
Right. What's your locus in this? Because the argument out there is you're not even their constituents. You don't belong to any of these constituencies. You're a former member of parliament for Kumbungu. So why then are you not concerned about your MP now? Why are you fixated on the likes of Sarah Adjo-Asafo?
Every Ghanaian has to be interested in the happenings in parliament, in attempts that seek to erode the gains we have made in our democracy. And I clearly think that it is incidences like this one that erodes the confidence, the trust of the public in our politics. People's confidence in politics in our country is at an all-time low, and it's important that all of us did our level best, to resuscitate, to bring back that trust. Because if Parliament goes down, the country has gone down. Parliament is the only institution that has the mandate to hold the executive to account, and that is why every Ghanaian ought to be interested in egregious violations of our constitution. And clearly, the constitution has been violated, by these 4 MPs. And it's not just Sarah Adjo-Asafo; it's the other ones, Henry Korte, Kojokum, Ebenezer, the Kennedy Japan. And as I've said, evidence that I've seen indicates that these are the 4 culprits.
Okay, that's what you have. So you have 4 for now. And your belief is that we don't have more members of parliament who may have missed parliamentary duties for way beyond 15 days. That's your argument.
I mean, these 4 have missed the 15 days. Not 15 days, but 15 sittings in a meeting of parliament. Let's get that clear.
Right.
But as I've said, I haven't seen any evidence to the effect that there are more members of parliament who've fallen foul.
Okay, so how about being fair to some of these people involved? We're not permitted perhaps to put out their health status out there, but reports that we're getting is that some have missed parliamentary sittings as a result of how they're not feeling well and what the their medical advisors are telling them, which you obviously are in a privileged position to know about. Have you done due diligence to interact with some of these colleagues of yours, because you've been in parliament with them, to at least find out why this is happening, so it doesn't seem like you're being fixated on the NPP side?
Even in the case of the president, when he's incapacitated to discharge his duties as a president, the constitution makes provision. If someone is unable to discharge their duties as a member of parliament as a result of ill health, the constitution clearly makes provision, and I don't see why people should hold on to the position of member of parliament when they know, or when their parties know, that they are not in a position to go on with their duties. It's just fair unto the constituents, that they get representation, that their voices be heard on the floor of parliament. And it's most unfortunate that these things have happened time and again, year in, year out, parliament in, parliament out. We see incidences of MPs showing complete disregard and disrespect to the constitution. These things must not continue.
Okay, so in clear terms, what's your demand of the speaker, and how fast do you want Alban Bagbin to deal with your concerns, the concerns you've placed at his doorsteps now?
So the petition request of the speaker to, raise this matter on the floor and to refer it to the committee responsible for privileges. It would be a tragedy if Parliament did it, if they dragged their feet and danced around the issue and wasted more time, because it would not do the reputation, the credibility of Parliament any good. I mean, the public is watching, and the public is unhappy about what is happening, that they would lose their jobs if they were to exhibit these kinds of tendencies, yet elected members of Parliament who are there on behalf of the public would or are seen to be getting away with some of these things.
Ras Mubarak, one more issue. It may sound unfair, but we need to talk about it for obvious reasons. Sarah Adjo-Asafo has been, of course, the focus in Parliament. The concern from the governing side is that she's disrupting government business. You've been monitoring the arguments from both the minority side and the majority side on this matter. You've worked with her in Parliament. What's your suspicion of all that's going on, and what conclusion are you arriving at, and what do you feel should be the way forward?
Well, so Ajosafu was a fantastic, legislator by all accounts. She went into the executive. She was given a job to run. They second guessed her, and it's unfortunate that she hasn't held on to principle and resigned. Because if you have a job as a minister, and then the executive is second guessing you on your decisions, the best thing to do would be to walk away. You've heard about the incidents that occurred under her ministry and how certain decisions were reversed. Clearly, anyone who knows what they're doing would not tolerate that.
You feel the NPP is not being fair to Sarah Ajosafu. This is someone who's been appointed, has served obviously in a very influential position, not just in this term but in the previous term as well. She served in leadership in Parliament at the time you were there. What else that do you need to prove to you, perhaps to the contrary, that this very MP we are talking about has been provided every opportunity she needs in the NPP?
No, well, I think she's been unfair to herself, because if I were in a position where, having been given a job, I would be second guessed at any moment, of the way, I would walk away, and that is what she should have done. Stuck to her principles. Say, Mr. President, I'm sorry, but here's your job. If you would continue reversing decisions that I have taken as your minister, then I'm afraid, I don't want to do it, and walk away. That would be a dignified way of going about things, But obviously, she's botched it up, by her continued absence from Parliament, by her continued refusal to either, walk away from the executive position or to come back to Parliament and represent her people, which is most unfortunate. So I would say it was within her powers, and clearly no serious country would tolerate, this kind of behavior, where you see clear violation of the Constitution, where a minister is showing an act of indiscipline. But it also says a lot about the executive. I mean, the government, to be precise, the president does not have the spine, to fire Ajosafu for, basically holding the government hostage. But
then your focus now is about the appointment and serving in the executive. The concern now is about being in Parliament. She's been voted into office by the residents of Dromikobanya, and they're expecting their MP to show up at least in Parliament. So you wanted to also relinquish that position as well as MP? Is that your expectation?
But it's not just Ajosafu. I've cited the example of the Minister for Greater Accra Region, who is also MP. Kochokum, my very, very good friend, who I'm told is not in the best of health. And then you've got Kennedy Japan.
You want Kennedy Japan to leave Parliament, to leave his seat?
All of them have violated the Constitution, and there should be no exception. The Constitution is not a respecter of person, right? If you violated the Constitution, let the law take its course.
Okay,
I don't see why we should make exceptions for people because they punch above their weight.
Right. I'll take your thoughts on one of the thorny issues for which obviously all of this petition is stemming from, which is the controversial subject of the e-levy. We've heard both sides of the House express their position on this matter. There's a deadlock as we speak. What's your solution to what's happening now? The fact that there's a likely brawl that may emerge again if government goes to the House to ask for the approval of that controversial bill.
Well, I mean, e-levy is retrogressive. Already the ordinary Ghanaian is burdened with a lot of taxes. This government has refused to be accountable to the people of Ghana, and you can't continue asking people to tighten their belts whilst you go about on a profligate expenditure. Again, you can talk about the Ajosafu incident, where we are told a charter flight was bought, hired to bring her in at the taxpayer's expense, where we are told by a certain member of parliament that he was given an amount of money to deposit in his account. I mean, the Ghanaian public is watching all of this, and people would want to pay taxes when they know that their government is accountable.
Be it as it may, we know that salaries are already delaying. And in fact, the speaker himself is warning that if we don't take care in the next 3 months, the public sector will bear the brunt of all that's happening. You're not concerned about that?
What use would be paying taxes when you know that the government is going to blow it all away in some fanciful expenditure, some profligate expenditure? What use is paying your taxes when you know that your tax city is not being used judiciously the way it's supposed to be used?
Okay. And your solution, your alternative to the e-levy?
And my alternative to the e-levy would be for government to build bridges and mend fences. I don't see that happening. I don't see them, reaching out, extending an olive branch. You saw how President Muhammad dealt with the crisis under his administration when he held the Century Conference. And even with the Century Conference, they clearly refused to be a part of anything that would proffer solutions, to making our country greater. So e-levy obviously would not be the way forward. There are a lot of losses in the system. Government should endeavor to plug those loopholes. Government should cut down on the profligacy, and government should be accountable to the people of Ghana on whose authority and mandates they are running this current administration that has, by all accounts, been very, very insensitive to the plight of the people.
Ras Mubarak is former Member of Parliament for Kumbungu. Thank you so much, sir, for your time here on the Joy News channel. When we return, we'll talk about the push for the decriminalization of petty offences. Shraj has a position on the matter. We'll bring it to you here on The Pulse. Stay with us.